Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So today, guys, I am going to let you guys in on a little quest that I have been on for the last couple of years, and that is determining which of the 164 releases of the Fast and Furious Toyota Supra is the best one on the market. And today I've compiled 4 different brands that we're going to go through and compare. We got the original, the OG Racing Champions Toyota Supra. Then we got Hot Wheels Premium, their Toyota Supra. And then we got a 155 scale, not quite 164, but for this comparison, guys, we're going to put this into the category of the 164s or similar scales. But we got the Jada, the collect and build, which I honestly feel like is a model that a lot of people forgot about. And then you got one of the more recent releases, the Toyota Supra from the Tomica premium lineup. We're gonna go through and compare all 4 of these. Now, some of you die-hard Fast and Furious collectors probably know that there is a 5th alternative. That is the Thai Micro Toyota Supra. And guys, I'm just not on board with this casting. It's, in all honesty, an abomination. I mean, it's nowhere near the Fast and the Furious original body style. I mean, it's got a wide body kit with extra aero. It's got a battle aero wing on the back. I mean, nothing about this car is Fast and Furious. I don't even know if this is technically licensed through Fast and the Furious, but you can tell just looking at this casting, it's basically just a recolor of Thai Micro's Toyota Supra. I mean, they're just putting a different color scheme on it and associating it to Fast and Furious to make a few bucks. It just looks terrible, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna put it in this ranking video. We're going to get this kicked off with the OG, the original Racing Champions 2003 release of the Toyota Supra from Fast and Furious. I mean, this is basically a lineup that has been deemed the original release of official Fast and Furious release cars. This Supra is basically an icon at this point. I mean, detail-wise, it looks great. And I'll give you guys a little bit of an insider. I recently just picked up this transport off of eBay. I picked it up for $90, which I feel like was a decent price point. These are usually listed for like $120, $150, but they typically sell right around that $100 price point. So if anything, maybe I got it for a little bit less, but I wanted just a good representation of the Supra. And I don't plan on opening it just because of the sheer age of these Racing Champions, but I picked this transporter combo pack because at least I get to see the Supra in a 360 view on all sides of the pack. And this pack, I mean, if you guys can't tell, there's no yellowing. It actually looks really good. I mean, honestly, like, it just came off the store shelf. No dust, no nothing. Man, this was definitely well preserved for the last 20-25 years here. But this Supra, guys, I mean, there's a reason why it's the icon. It's so on point. The body kit, all Bomb X. It's got all the right details. I mean, the front end just looks so iconic right out the movie. It's got a separate piece for that aluminum spoiler on the back. Classic Toyota Supra rear end with correct tail lights and everything like that. And this is a huge piece, guys, so I'm struggling a little bit to showcase everything here, but it just looks great. And then on top of that, I mean, just the combination with this transporter having that giant Toyota Supra graphic there on the side, I mean, just looks great. Just adds presentation, looks good in the display. But guys, there's no doubt about it, this is definitely one of the premier Toyota Supra castings in 164 to have in your collection. And then you got the ever popular Fast and the Furious. This one I've talked about before, but the tune version of the Toyota Supra, it looks really good, and we've talked about this before, but it actually has a Bomb X body kit up front. I mean, all the details of this car honestly looks so much better than the original Fast and the Furious 164, which by looking at it, the front bumper, not very accurate. The hood, I mean, there's no indentations of that TRD hood. It's basically just tampoed on the little vents that you got on the top there. The spoiler, often we see it not painted, it just comes in body color orange. But this is still a fan favorite when it comes to Fast and Furious memorabilia. I mean, obviously Hot Wheels, that name, that brand recognition just adds a lot of value to this one. But this one in particular, guys, is actually from the diorama set, and you can tell by the faded or more mute orange color, it's not as dark as some of its counterparts when it comes to Fast and Furious. Thinking specifically about the recent Target 2-pack that just released, I know Lamley did a comparison. This one is definitely a lot lighter in orange color versus that 2-pack. So this one, honestly, on the secondary market is still fetching a good price right now, about $40-$50. I've seen it spike all the way up to like $60-$70, whereas the more recent 2-pack Toyota Supra, at least in loose form right now, I mean, you'll get about retail price about $15-$16 for it. So this one is the one that I'm putting in the comparison here, not so much the tuned version, because again, I feel like this is more of a different category than what we're looking at here, more looking at the realistic aesthetics of the castings. This one still near and dear to me. I mean, you gotta think Hot Wheels developed the Toyota Supra on a mass production standpoint, really to feed that basic mainline 99-cent car, which is understandable. I mean, that's basically the excuse that we give as to why Hot Wheels didn't make this Supra portray the true movie car, but at least they're officially licensed and they're continuing to give us a lot of great Fast and Furious memorable cars, so you really can't complain about that. I will also just throw in current plug for the original 2013 first edition Fast and Furious, at least from a mainline standpoint. And you heard me right, a mainline right now selling still on the secondary market for about $30, which is pretty cool, you know, especially for a $1 investment entry point. But yeah, Fast and Furious and Hot Wheels essentially at this point in time really just go hand in hand, so you can't go wrong with that, even if the casting doesn't necessarily mimic that of the real production movie car. And then you got this model here, somewhat forgotten, but a Jada release. This is technically a 155 scale, but it's close enough. We're going to lump it into this ranking video here, but it is in fact the Toyota Supra. Details on this car, you can tell they're very minimal. As you can tell, the headlights there, they're just painted on. There's no indentation or outlining of each of the body panels. I mean, it does have a separate piece for the aluminum spoiler, but you can see tail lights, again, similar to the headlights, just painted in all red. No signature Toyota tail lights there. Oddly enough, of all the details they could have put on here, they did capture that number 12 there on the bottom of the front bumper. The front bumper does look to be pretty close to the Bomb-X style bumper, and it does have the Bomb-X rear apron here as well too, with these little indentations. But I would say that the significance with this 155 scale Jada Toyota Supra is that you had to get the collect and build sets. There was 6 cars out of that set in order to get all the pieces to put this one together, and I think that's the true appeal to this Toyota Supra. And honestly, that was the big appeal as to why I picked it up. Right now, that 6-car set to get all the pieces to build this Fast and Furious Supra, right now secondary market's around that $70 price point. So this is essentially a $70 Toyota Supra right now. And again, fairly forgotten, but if you're a true Fast and Furious collector, this is a really neat one to have in the collection. And the last one I'll share in the comparison here is the one from Tomica Premium. This one is a fairly recent release, I would say like in the last 6 months here, but man, this one really just shows you the evolution of the die cast for this Toyota Supra. I mean, the body kit is on point, full Bomb-X. It's got the rear apron detail, aluminum spoiler, although it's plastic. The hood, the TRD hood, I mean, there's actual indentations and visuals of the vent, acrylic headlights, acrylic tail lights, although they are painted in. It's got the exhaust there in silver. The wheels are accurate. It actually has active suspension as a lot of Tomicas do. And even better, in 164 scale, you got an opening roof, which I guess you can say the only other diecast that has this is the OG, the Toyota Supra from Racing Champions, but there is no piece to put back into that roof. It's just an open roof, whereas this one, you can choose both. Now the downside is that this is made of plastic, so you can see the coloration on it is a little bit off from the original body color of this casting, but nonetheless it's pretty neat. It does have all the interior details as well too. You can see the NOS bottles and the amps from the subwoofers. But man, this one, guys, is definitely an ad, even not from a value standpoint. Just for the die-hard Fast and Furious collectors, this is one to add to your collection if you haven't already, and it's pretty reasonable right now in the secondary market. I mean, right now, at least here in the US, we don't get Tomicas or access to Tomica, so I mean, a $20 price point for this detailed of a 164 scale is pretty good. I mean, compared to RLCs, which are paying $25, $30 for, and we don't even get this much detail. I mean, this is definitely not a bad price point right now. I mean, long term, I could see the value on these go up, but to be perfectly honest, I do see it being re-released, or I'm sure the volumes that these were produced at were pretty high too. I mean, they kind of sit on the secondary market right now, and not a lot of people are talking about it. But again, you can't beat this casting. So yeah, if you're in the market, guys, for Fast and Furious Supras like I am, one to put on the list. So how do we rank these? Well, obviously DieCash Cars, you know, on this channel we talk all things value. I mean, the most valuable Toyota Supra, and you guys probably know this, but it has to be the OG, the Racing Champions. I mean, I talked about this transporter set being about $100 and I paid about $90. This Toyota Supra alone, if you can find it in a single card, it's selling for about $70 to $80, which is very expensive for just one car. I mean, that's kind of the rationale as to why I bought the full transporter set, because at least I get a 360 view of the car, I can keep it in pack, and I get this awesome truck and trailer attached to it. So from a value standpoint, this Racing Champions one is definitely on top, and believe it or not, in second, it's got to be the Jada, the build and collect, because again, you have to buy all 6 cars out of that set in order to create this 155 scale, and that comes in at about $60 to $70 price point, just under the Racing Champions, followed in third place by the premium Fast and Furious. So again, this is from the diorama set. Right now, secondary market around that $40 price point, although there are cheaper alternatives. And I honestly see Hot Wheels re-releasing this car a number of times in the future. So if you missed out on the diorama or the 2-packs, there's going to be a million of these releases in the future. And I'm guessing with variations, I'm sure we're going to get a wheel change at some point, and maybe even a painted spoiler version at some point. So not really hanging my hat too much on the Fast and Furious releases, just because we know we're going to get re-releases in the future. And then rounding us out, number 4 from a value standpoint, it's this Tomica Premium at about $20 right now in the secondary market, with potential to grow just because of all the features that it comes with. But funny enough, guys, from a pure aesthetic standpoint, I will have to say that this comes in second, just because it's so realistic and it has all the right details. The one knock is a removable roof. I mean, just these unsightly lines that you see up there on the top and the discoloration of that roof just really bump it down from an aesthetic standpoint. Number 1 obviously has to be, again, the OG Toyota Supra from Racing Champions. And again, I think it really just, it's the fact that this car has such a history and the overall age of this car. I mean, 25, almost 30 years old, and they casted it so well and so accurate to the movies, whereas none of its competitors up to this point have even come close. Fast and Furious, obviously mass production, nowhere near what it should be. Jada, really, you can tell it cheaped out on a lot of the details of the cast. Even the tune version, very recent here, 2023 release. I mean, it looks close, but again, it's a tune version, so can you really account for it within this comparison? Even to the latest Tomica premium version, there's still some details that just kind of lack in this. I mean, from an overall proportionate standpoint, it just doesn't look right. I feel like the headroom, or at least this roof line, just looks a little too caved in compared to the real car, and the front end just looks too tall to really mimic a Toyota Supra, not like the Racing Champions version here, which I think just makes it look a lot more appropriate and closer to the actual movie car. So again, a close second, but still no dice. The original, the OG, the Racing Champions is still the best Toyota Supra on the market. And it's just so interesting that after all these years, no one is still even close in comparison to the OG. But that's what I got for you guys today. Just wanted to do a quick and simple comparison of all of the 164 Fast and Furious Supras on the market today, minus that abomination of the Time Micro. Let me know which one's your favorite. Let me know which ones you have in your collection. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.